नूर मौलाना शाह करीम हुसैन हाजरी माँ तौफीक ताईद हिम्मत व यारी मौला तौफीक ताईद हिम्मत व यारी हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर या मौला मेहरबान या मुश्किल कुशा, please help us मौला. Ya Mola, in your beautiful Faramins, there are pearls of wisdoms, Mola. Ya Mola Meherban, Ya Mushkil Kusha Meherban, open our heart. Give us light in our heart, in our eyes, in our ears, in our tongue, Mola. Ya Mola Meherban. Surround us with light, Mola. Allahumma ja'alli nuran fi qalbi wa nuran fi sam'i wa nuran fi basari wa nuran fi lisani wa nuran fi sha'ri wa nuran fi bashari wa nuran fi lahmi wa nuran fi dami wa nuran fi izami wa nuran fi asabi wa nuran bayna yadaya wa nuran min khalfi wa nuran an yamini wa nuran an yasari wa nuran min fawqi wa nuran min tahti. Shukran lillah, walhamdulillah, shukran lillah, walhamdulillah. Once again, Ya Ali Madad to all friends. Today, with mercy of Mawla, we start a new Farman. This is also from Zanzibar, July 29th, 1899. Haq Mawlan Dani Salamat Datar Sarkar Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah Hadri Mama Farmaviyu Salwa Kuriya Allahumma Salli ala Muhammadin wa Ali Muhammad. મોટા કાંગવાવાળાઓ તકબૂરી કરે અને બીજાઓને હલકા ગણે તે ઘણું ખરાબ છે. અમને સઘળા મુરીદો સરખા છે. Imam mercifully is teaching that those who are in a, Baitul Khyal, higher mandlis, wherever we have something more than others. And Imam is saying that those who have, given mota kangwa, meaning higher level of commitment, dedication, like for example, life majlis, higher level of dedication, commitment to Imam, do not be proud. Takabburi nahi karna, right? Do not be proud and do not think of others lower than you. It is very animalistic tendency that immediately when we have something, we think of ourselves as higher or over others, and that is entry to shaitan, to give this feeling of pride and being proud that you are better or more than others. In fact, in reality, those who are blessed with anything more than others, they need to be more humble and shukr guzar. That is the value teachings in our tariqah that we need to have. Imam says that for me everybody is equal. If everybody is equal in Imam's eye, why do we as Jama'at try to behave in such a way which is higher and lower? Everybody is equal in Imam's eyes. જે બાયો પોતાના ધણીના હક રાખે તેમને જ ઇબાદત કબૂલ થશે. જે ધણીના હક નહીં રાખે તેની ઇબાદત કબૂલ નહીં થશે. Now very interestingly, this Farman takes a totally complete different direction. After saying that do not be proud, do not think of yourself higher than others, Imam is, changes the direction to talk to women in the Jamaat. And he says that, women should keep the rights of their husbands. Those who will, keep the rights, give the haqq of their husband, only their ibadat will be fulfilled. So yes, first application is on women, that those women who come to, higher level of learning, for example, let's say ilmi classes, right? And you start having these blessings which are intellectual blessings, your joy, your happiness is so much more, that now you find your worldly or home duties very, very trivial, and you don't find any interest in it, and you want to study all the time. In fact, I remember one of the friend after COVID, COVID, everybody had time, like no work or nothing, nobody was going out, so everybody was doing their own things to keep busy. And many connected to ilm. One of our friend actually from India, she shared that she had a hard time to, do anything else other than, taking care of her knowledge journey, and she felt it was a waste of time, and she got irritated that I have to, take care of other things. Why do I need to do that? If I'm doing the right thing, I'm walking on the path of religion, self-righteousness, right? This is the Farman. Imam says that if you don't keep the rights of your husband, especially women, your ibadat will not be fulfilled, will not be accepted. So, in other words, what we are saying, that whenever we walk on this path of Sirat al-Mustaqim, and when we come on to the journey of knowledge, of course, there is joy, there is happiness, there is desire for us to do more, become fana in Imam, and in that direction, we want to just be doing this. But we have learned time and again that there is no dichotomy between deen and dunya, meaning we have to take care of our dunya in such a way that we are fulfilling our deen as well. And in that context, Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah is saying that, we have to fulfill our family duties. Wives should fulfill, husbands' duties. And Imam is saying, if you don't do that, your ibadat will not be fulfilled. So do know, we know that in our tariqa, we do not become bhagat, in the sense yogis, right? Those who, what do they call? Tyag dete hain, right? They leave their worldly duties and they just become this bhagat or yogi. We don't do that. We don't become nuns in our tariqa. We live full, complete worldly life, fulfill our duties, and do this. Is it easy? Nobody said it's going to be easy for us, right? But we need to do that. And then Imam says, now, before I go further, I want you to have another level of thinking at the same time. When Mola says to women, remember, my brothers and sisters here, we all are naris, we all are women. Our souls of, status would be of nari, meaning that we all are women, and our dhani, our husband, is imam. That is also another concept which we have to always keep in our mind, that our souls are, of women, and imam is mard mutallaq, and we all will be fana in him. He is the absolute man, and we all will be fana in him. When we think like that, because that is also an understanding, when we think like that, then all those women in the physical world leaving their worldly duties would be correct, meaning that the dhani is imam, right? But remember that we cannot leave our worldly duties. Keep that also in mind. So we have to really be sharp in understanding there are different levels in the Farman, as well as realize that there is no dichotomy between the world and the deen. We have to fulfill our worldly duties and do this. પોતાના ધણી બહાર જવાની રજા આપે તો જાવું, રજા ના આપે તો ન જાવું. ધણીના હક રાખ્યા ઉપરાંત મા બાપ સાસરીના હક રાખવા. જૂઠું ન બોલવું, ગુરપીરના ફરમાન ઉપર ચાલવું, કોઈની નિંદા ન કરવી, ફરમાન તથા જ્ઞાનનો વાંચણ સાંભળી તે મુજબ ચાલવું. પરાયા પુરુષને ભાઈ તથા બાપ માફક સમજવું. હાજરી મામની શનાખ્ત રાખવી. સતકુર મુખે દસોંદ આપવી. એવી રીતે ચાલશો તો તમારા દિલમાં રોશની પેદા થશે અને તમે દીદાર જોઈ શકશો. So the whole paragraph is like advice after advice. And Imam is simply giving advice that first keep the rights of your husband. If he permits you, then go out. If he does not, do not go out. And on top of that, keep your parents, parents-in-laws, mother-in-law, father-in-law, give their rights, and do not lie. Guru follow the farmans of Pir and our Imam. Remember, following the Hidayat in the Ginans and farmans. Do not be backbiting about others. Understand farmans and Ginans, listen to it, and with understanding follow it. Do not be having any bad thoughts about other men in the Jama'at. Consider all of them brothers and father. And recognize Imam. Pay the son. If you walk like that, then you will have light in your heart and you will be able to receive the didar of Imam. So of course, again, Imam is talking to women. It seems Imam must have been told something, and due to that, Imam is focusing the women in the Jama'at. And in this Farman, Imam is saying that if your husband permits you, then only you go out. If he doesn't, don't. And you have to keep the rights of your husband, and after that your parents-in-laws keep their rights. Do not lie. All these are different hidayat which Imam is giving. And when we are I'm not sure if I said it in English, I did, right? So you do understand that there are different hidayats. And why would Imam be doing that? Because someone must have said something, and due to that, Imam is giving directions to the women in Jama'at that they need to fulfill their worldly duties. Do not be backbiting, gossiping, and having bad thoughts in the hearts for other men. And then work hard to recognize the Imam, pay the son. If you were to do that, you will find light in your heart, and you will also be blessed with the didar. ભાઈઓ એ પોતાના મા બાપને ઘેર જવું હોય ત્યારે પણ ધડીની રજા લઈને જવું. If you want to visit your parents' house, you do need to seek permission from your husband. ધડી ના પાડે તો નહીં જવાનું. If your husband says no, do not go. જમાત ખાને જવું તેમાં પણ ધણીની રજા લેવી. રોજ રજા નહીં આપે તો 4 દિવસે આપશે. વળી 4 દિવસે રજા નહીં આપશે તો 8 દિવસે આપશે. વળી 8 દિવસે આપશે. 8 દિવસે નહીં આપશે તો 15 દિવસે આપશે. 15 દિવસે નહીં આપે તો મહિના દિવસે જરૂર આપશે. રજા વગર જવું નહીં. રજા વગર જવામાં સારું નથી. Now this paragraph tells us, we can understand something must have happened. And Imam is now giving us this farman. So Imam is again speaking to women in Jama'at, and he says that do not even come to Jama'at Khana if your husband says no. Seek permission from husband to go to Jama'at Khana. If your husband says no, do not go to Jama'at Khana. And if your husband permits, then come. If he does not permit you to come every day, then even in 4 days he will. If he doesn't permit you in 4 days, then probably in 8 days he will permit you. If he doesn't permit you in 8 days, hopefully in 15 days he will permit you. If he does not permit you in 15 days, probably in 1 month he will permit you. Without husband's permissions, do not be going to Jamaat Khana. It is not good. Now, when we read this paragraph and relate to the above paragraph, we can understand there has to be an event that, somebody, some woman or women, we don't know, who went to Jamaat Khana without permission, and there were gossip and there were backbiting, probably blaming somebody, having relation with somebody, not understanding that going to Jamaat Khana is completely different than to have, immoral acts. But somebody blamed, something happened, and Imam had to really clearly give guidance to women that if you have no permission, do not go to Jamaat Khana. And Imam, listening to men in Jamaat, I believe, those who were complaining, or there must be some event, Imam is saying that do not, have thoughts of other men in your heart, do not have, be think having any relations or having thoughts of other men. Women leaving for Jamaat Khana without permission, being blamed to have affair probably or something, and it reached to Imam, and Imam gave this guidance. Now, how do we understand sitting in 2024 Imam's Farman, which Imam gave it to us in 1899? What, how, and women should behave? Is it applicable in today's time in 2024 that women have to behave like this? And if women were to go out, they will be blamed that they're having affair with men. How do we see this Farman in today's time for women living in different countries? Because we see women in West, we see women in East, we see women in Middle East. How do we understand this? In order for us to really realize that what is Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah telling Jamaat? Remember 1899, Jamaat educations, men or women, very poor, very poor. So men, the way men thought in Jamaat was very, very narrow-mindedness, right? That women cannot go to Jamaat Khana. If they go, it meaning that, they are doing something wrong. Now let's look at Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah's Hidayat through a book, A Bridge Between Two Epochs. Because if we only read this Farman, which we read, it tells us very limited status of women, that women are not supposed to do anything with their desire. They have to always seek permission of Imam. So this is the book compiled by Rashida Nur Muhammad Hunzai. And in this book, which is available on website monoreality.org, Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah's statements, faramins on status of women has been there. So I thought I would share with you because we are reading the Farman of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah. So this is Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, and there is a lot of things, and it is very beautiful for us to read. But I have, of course, we have limited time, so I picked up few pages. So we are going to read page number 116. Now this is importance of women. Clarion call to Muslim women. What Imam is saying, let's read this. I do not think you realize yourselves, and I'm sorry to say certainly the men of Pakistan and few other Muslim countries do not realize the importance of women taking an equal rank with men in the welfare. Here is the answer. So this is Imam speaking to Pakistan in 1947. So Farman was 1899. This is 1947. Jamaat has some education now. We have Pakistan being built separate from some Hindustan subcontinent. We have separate Pakistan. Later we have Bangladesh as well. And Imam is now talking to women of Pakistan, and Imam is saying to men that they don't even realize, women themselves don't realize, men don't even realize, right? And let's see what Imam is saying to them. That women have to be having equal rank in the government, in the general activity and prosperity of the country. Only the other day, the Minister of Waqfs, one of the leading ulmas of Egypt responsible for religious affairs, was telling me that a country is like a human being. Men and women are two lungs. If you reduce the power of women, you crush them with inhibitions and imaginary restrictions based ultimately on man's superior physical power. In a nation, it is exactly like a human being who has one lung perforated by tuberculosis and one lung to what? Ladies, believe me, if Pakistan does not rise to the modern idea of equal position of women, you will find not only Europe, but all the other countries of Asia going ahead of you. I am heartbroken when I see how little so many of our men realize what it is. and how little the women contribute compared to what they could contribute to the moral and material happiness and prosperity of the country. To begin with, women here, to my horror, are forbidden from taking part in religious life of the country. So this is exactly contradiction of what we read in the Farman. But we can understand now that there has to be an event and Imam has to keep, peace in the Jama'at. So Imam gave the Farman. But look at Imam's words here. To my horror, are forbidden from taking part in the religious life of the country. That Farman is, surely some leaders. Remember, the first paragraph talked about higher status. So men being having physical strength, Imam then speak about women, right? Here Imam is saying to my horror. So we have to understand with clear mind what is Imam's hidayat. If we read that Farman, we just cannot read that Farman and take it as is in today's time. We really have to study, reflect, and realize what is the hidayat of Imam. Imam is speaking to those who are stronger in whatever means, powerful in Jama'at, to do not undermine the Jama'at who is weaker, either by gender or in any and every context. It is equality which Imam is promoting. So Imam says, to my horror, are forbidden from taking part in the religious life of the country. In practically every Muslim country, the women are allowed to go to the mosque for Friday prayers. And there are proper wings divided by pardas from the men where they conduct Friday prayers. So yes, Imam is saying there is parda in between, and women and men, the way we sit in Jamaat Khana, women one side, men on one side, there is no parda as per se, and we say our prayers. Perhaps the greatest blot in Pakistan is the neglect of Friday prayers by Muslims generally, but above all, not giving women occasions for participating in these most important prayers. If you are forbidden even prayer, what can you expect? The first thing to agitate for is to get your right for prayers. Imam is saying you really have to, make noise, agitate yourself, and get the rights for your prayers, which women enjoy in practically every Muslim country. Why would that be? That, some countries like this in Pakistan, they will not be allowed to go to mosque to pray, whereas in every Muslim countries women can do that. There are special mosques like Muhammad Ali Mosque where galleries are reserved for women. In North Africa, in Paris Mosque and the London Mosque at walking in Iran and Turkey, women have their own special space for Friday prayers. When you do not allow the women to pray, how can you expect them to do any lay service for the country? Meaning they will not be able to work as a workforce in the country if they cannot even pray. You want to lock them up in the house and do not let them come out. It doesn't work like that. First of all, you must win the right to prayers, because this is again Imam speaking to women. Imam is saying, first of all, you should win the rights for your prayers so you can pray. Then win your right to equality in production, industrial services, and in office work. I'm an old man and I can expect very little in this world, but my message to you women is organize yourselves, resist, and fight for your rights. Here Imam sounds like a feminist, right? One last word. Some of our champions of inhibitions fear that liberty will lead sexual immorality. So relate to that Farman, right? Imam is saying that do not have bad thoughts in your heart. Do not be looking at other men in the society. We can tell from that Farman, why Imam is saying that. And now Imam is exactly this. When I read it, I was laughing that completely Imam has debunked what he said himself in the Farman to keep the peace in the Jamaat. But he's explaining, he is giving us hidayat. again, we have to be well read to be able to understand. And we are grateful for these teachers and scholars in the Jama'at who have brought these collections, of farmans and speeches together for us to quickly go to these references and read. So reading good books is another important aspect of how should we spend our time. So why women are being locked up? Because there is this doubt, this thought that there'll be sexual immorality. And Imam is very clearly using words and saying, believe me, when women from childhood and adolescence have seen men, then there is very little likelihood of that, except in naturally bad characters who will be bad always under any conditions, either of freedom or restrictions. So Imam is saying that if we expose both the genders to each other, there'll be no sexual immoralities. But then there are some people who are just bad. There are some who will do bad, right? I have lived in most European and American countries, and I have no hesitation in saying that only 1 out of 1,000 families is broken up by sexual misdemeanor, and the other 999 go through happy life, bringing up children, living perfectly moral lives in which little thought is given to sexual relations, and the whole life is taken up for service to the children, to the family, to the husband, and to the country. So, giving rights to women, keeping them equal, does not make them sexually immoral. This is again the thinking of some men in the society, and highlighting those bad characters. No matter where they will be bad characters. But it is 1 out of 1,000, Imam says, and then keeping 1,000 all locked up does not limit those who have bad characters actually. But what is the fault of those 999,000 or 999 women out of 1,000 to be locked up in the house? My dear Muslim sisters, one result of this that some of your men who lock up their women when they go to Paris rush to indulge in their horrible instincts, and for that go to places where, like in every great city, even in Muslim countries, there are prostitutes and shows for encouraging sexual depravity. But that is not the life of the people. Imam is very clearly now talking about men who say things about women, what they are doing. The overwhelming life of the people is happy family relations and far more devotion to children than you can possibly get out of Parda Nashi. So again, those men and women who are given equal rights in society, they are loving, in their family, happy, keeping happy relations and taking care of their children, being devoted to their children, much more than societies which live. I didn't understand that. Which live in a society, prohibition in the society. And next is message to Ismailia. Okay, so we have one more page here. Oh, my sisters. Now this was kind of, in a small letters. Now here it has given us in a bold highlighted caps. So we really have to see what Imam is saying here. Oh, my sisters, agitate. Leave no peace to men till they give you religious freedom. Imam is telling women that you should have your religious rights by opening mosques for prayers not side by side with men but in reserved quarters attached to all the mosques. So there was this discussion that there'll be 2 mosques separate. Imam is saying no, don't do that. So that habit of praying in public and self-respect and self-confidence becomes general among us women. When women don't have self-confidence, because of the restrictions, of course they cannot progress. So self-confidence, self-respect in public is very, very important for both the genders. On that foundation of religious equality, you can then build social, economic, patriotic, and political equality with men. So Imam is literally mentioning all the aspects of the worldly, life, that women should participate in politics, in countries, benefit, economic, social, everything, and of course, men are participating in taking care of children as well. So it is the equal duties, equal rights. I pray Allah Almighty to open the eyes of our brightened man and some of our still more brightened women. Very, very beautifully, Imam is saying that I'm praying that men would see it, but when women also have to see it. Because if you were to truly look into, these directions, unfortunately, you will find women preaching to women that they need to be, not progressing. It is interesting that in our tariqah, you know, we are given this hidayah that you grow, progress equally with men, but keeping values of our, morality, our society, our families, meaning, even in families, when husband and wife are there, they do make decisions in collaboration. But there are times husband is the head of the household, and by that gender, if, equal rights are given, and man is given respect as the head of the household, even though all the decisions are made collaboratively. If that is given, man is a happy camper. So being woman, when reading all this, does not mean that we are going against man. That is not the thing. We are working with man. So again, very, very important that we have to understand what Imam is teaching us. And then this message we need to read. Message to the Ismailia Women's Association. So very interestingly, there was a separate associations of women in Ismailis at that time, and Imam is giving them a hidayat. So let's read that. The Prophet of Islam, who has been so cruelly libeled in the Western world by ignorance or malaise. Of course, Prophet of Islam, until Hazrat Imam announcing in Chamber of Commerce in 2001 and Imam's speeches in 2014, the way Imam has very clearly said that he is the direct descendant of the Prophet. Western world looking at the work of Hazrat Imam through AKF, our institutions, they have accepted Prophet Muhammad. But before that, if you have listened to the global lectures, the way the Western world came to know about Muslim existence, and in Muslim existence, especially Shia and Ismailis existence, was through Turkey. Turkey being close to Europe, if you look at the map, and if you what had happened historically, our Ismaili books were taken and they were translated into English by putting bogus things in, false things in the books and published in the English books. So when the Western people, Western world wanted to know about Ismailis, they only see Ismailis as a power-seeking political group, horrific, bad people. They never knew who the Ismailis were until Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah built the bridge, and he, became a personality known in the European countries. And then Hazrat Imam, we do know that, right? Hazrat Imam has lived all his life in Europe, and people know him. And all life he has worked through AKF and, making world know about Ismailis. Through him, we see how our Jama'at has been able to live in the Western world, where Western world was seeing Prophet Muhammad in a very wrong eyes, seeing Ismailis in a very wrong eyes. But it has changed. It has changed from Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah's time to Hazrat Imam. It is a complete shift we see, complete shift. And there is a realization that Ismailis uh, are a good people, they are a good community, And if we want to know about Shia Muslims and Ismailis, we have to know and learn from Ismailis, not by reading books of other people who have written wrong things about Ismailis. So the history, has not done justice to Ismailis, unfortunately, due to these people who had animosity in their heart and they've written such bad books about Ismailis. So it is being corrected by Imam opening up IIS. So people look to those institutions to read and know about Ismailis, right? So Alhamdulillah, let's get back here what Imam is saying to women. The Prophet of Islam was wont to say that men can but follow in the footsteps of their mothers towards paradise. So Imam is referring to the hadith of the Prophet where he has said that paradise is under the feet of mothers, and mothers are women. So if Prophet has said that, do we not follow the footsteps of moms, mothers to go to the paradise? And it was not for nothing, according to Muslim belief, this is that his first convert was a woman. And now Hazrat Imam Sultan Shah is telling us about Bibi Khatija, wife of Prophet Muhammad. She was the first one to accept Islam. So women, the role of women is so important. The Prophet, when he became Prophet, the first convert was actually a woman. Biologically, the female is more important to the race than male. Now, Imam is, look at these words Imam is saying. Biologically, women are important to race. How the world would last if there is no women in the country, in the world? While average women are capable of earning their own livelihood like men, they are the guardians of the life of the race, and only through their natural constitution are they able to bear the double burden. Imam is, of course, saying that women can also work and earn their, livings as well, and at the same time bear children. To have this double burden in their lives, naturally they are made like that. So women do more in the society than men actually, and it is not a hidden fact. Experience shows that strong probability that the active influence of women on society under free and equal conditions is calculated not only to bring about practical improvement in the domestic realm, but also a higher and nobler idealism into the life of the state. So when women are given equal rights, women will influence the society in a way that it would bring improvement, practical improvement. And the world will become, ideal world, not only in the home but outside as well. The way they bring their own way of seeing things, doing things, influencing things, it will bring equality. Those who know Muslim society from within readily admit that it is higher spiritual life owes a great debt to the example and influence of women. Now, Imam is very clearly saying that if we are looking for higher spiritual status, spiritual life, a great debt is actually by the example and influence of women. Why Imam would say that? What does it mean? Remember, it goes back to our concept of, one thing which we have discussed, that women are, all souls are like women. And all the souls submit to Imam because he is the Marde Mutallaq. In this society, when we look at this concept and role of women and merging and understanding the spiritual responsibility or spiritual way of submission, women, the way they submit to their physical constitution, natural constitution of bearing children and living their livelihood as well, and living a peaceful life with husband and the family, keeping the calm and the peace and a quorum in the house, it teaches us the meaning of submission, actually submitting to the natural uh, uh, given blessings to women. naturally submitting to husband to keep peace in the house, though having equal responsibilities or probably more, because Imam is saying double burden. That act of submission teaches us as men and women in Jama'at that if we understand this element, then only we can submit to Imam. Otherwise, I am high and mighty. You are lower than me. Remember, that was the first paragraph we read. So we really have to reflect and understand what we are reading here, what we are understanding here. Anyone who thinks they are high and mighty, they cannot fana Imam. Simple as that. Simple as that. Either it is because their physical strength, either it is because their earning abilities, or any kind of strength in man or a woman. So this is to both the genders we are saying that we need to have this element of submissiveness, giving into uh, each other, so we can learn how to submit to Imam. If one is higher, let's say a woman is earning and woman is, in the house, more able to bring resources at home, she does not become mighty. She remains humble and gives into, keeping the peace in the family. Similarly, if husband is the one and wife is, working and earning lower and, is giving childbirth and whatnot, does not make men mighty. So both ways we have to understand. If we understand this part, we will be able to understand how does this principle work in spirituality. Today, as in the lifetime of the Prophet, probably the majority of devout and reverent followers of his teaching are women. Why? So Imam is highlighting that, majority of the, devout moments in the Jamaat of Prophet Muhammad, his followers were women actually. And I would say it is true in the time of Jesus, as Isa alayhi salam. Any Natik you pick up, I would say that would be true. Why? Simply because of their nature of submitting for family, for husband. And in other Farman, in Kalam-i Imam-i Mubin, Imam says women have soft heart, therefore men have to be like women. And then Imam says that men has a powerful intellect and women have to be, like men in that way. Meaning learn from both each other's attributions and become equal. But for that, equal rights have to be given to men and women. Unfortunately, in today's time, due to feminism, we see that some places this balance has tilted other way around. And that's not what Imam's message is. Yes, Imam is at that time telling women to agitate and to come out and to fight, but to the extent where we find equality. Now, then it does not become the fight of seeking more power. So if we don't keep that balance, then we see the reasons of this disbalance in society. Imam's hidayat is to understand each other's role and have balanced responsibility, balanced rights. But just this paragraph is a very important paragraph for us to understand that if we are seeking spiritual progress, if we are seeking spiritual enlightenment, if one cannot attain without the humility, without the submission, which is more seen in women than men. Now, we do have examples of men too. It's not that there are no men like that. So do not take me wrong, but I'm saying about majority. Again, it is the same continuation, but Imam, this is in caps, so let's read this. No progressive thinker of today will challenge the claim that the social advancement and general well-being of communities are greatest where women are least debarred by artificial barriers and narrow prejudice from taking their full position as citizens. The progressive modernization, which depends on cooperation and understanding will be impossible unless women are permitted to play their legitimate part in the great work of national regeneration on a basis of political equality. So, of course, in politics, we see things have changed. We have had women prime minister in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in India. Now we see in America, women, Kamala Harris is standing to become a president, and if she wins, this will be the first time in USA history that in this powerful country of the world, a woman is a president. So, Alhamdulillah, do we realize that how this change is coming? It is all due to Imam's teaching. It is all due to Imam's work. So, we have to see how miraculously Imam has been working in this physical world. When we see what our prophet, prophet worked very hard to give women equal status, but women, we see over the years that they did not. Muslims, Imam is telling Muslim men to permit women to pray on Fridays with men. So in today's time, with education and Imam's work, Alhamdulillah, we see such a change in this world, right? So I will end here. It was a different kind of session because we really had to understand that Farman. And I hope that we have seen this Farman in its totality. We cannot just read that Farman and say, okay, I have to accept it in today's time. We really have to understand. So I didn't even go to the Hazi Imams, Faramins. I stayed with Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, so we understand that how time has changed. And we have to understand Imam's Hidayat according to the time. Ji.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. It's a very good reminder of where the status of women was and how Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah worked to actually raise that status all the way from India, Pakistan, East Africa, and so on, and what the status is now. As you mentioned, if we go into Jama'at Khana or wherever, you will always find that the large proportion of the Jama'at will be women. So in terms of the work that is being done by women is amazing as compared to the work done by men, as always. I've put in the link for the book, Bridge Between Two Epochs. So if friends want to download that book and read for themselves. Friends, if you have any other questions or comments, please come forward. Also, it just does show the importance of wider reading than just focusing on the Farman. Because if you just focus on the Farman, then obviously a person can misunderstand the Farman and in terms of the time and location that this Farman was made. Yeah, so that is quite important as well.
Very important comment. I think I would like to comment because it applies to Quran as well. Because the way people promote it, we know that Quran is our book and we have to read Quran, and we see that there are people who have become Hafiz a Quran by Prophet Muhammad. Muslim countries, people are Hafiz a Quran, but how many of them really understand Quran? And the reason is, if you just stick with Quran, it is in its tanzili form, you don't understand Quran and you are misled. And that's why when these men who are very orthodox in their approach, when they only promote Quran in its tanzil form, there are so many Sharia laws which have been made. And Imam actually talks about in this Bridge Between Two Epochs that women don't even get equal inheritance. Even in Europe, I was reminded when I read it for this class that even it is very recent that the changes have come. So it's not only in Muslim countries, but in European countries, when it comes to money and power, men have done what they've done to keep women deprived of their rights. So even in today, because of only reading Quran and not understanding Quran by reading the books. So yes, there are tafasir, but in Tawili meaning the way it has come in today's time. If we don't read those books and we think to pick up the Quran and read only Quran, we will misunderstand things. We will not understand. So, very important point that today we are educated. Wider reading is extremely important. We need to know what books to read, and we should read primary sources so we are able to enrich our own knowledge and knowledge in our family, because when we know more, as interested in this knowledge, men and women, when we speak from knowledge in our families. And of course, when we speak from knowledge and we are able to give references to when asked, we are heard, and we are able to influence our family members, our Jama'at in a larger sense, to bring the change which is actually needed. It is very comfortable to stay with Ginans only because I love Ginans. It is very comfortable to continue to read Farman because I understand, that language and I like Farmans. We cannot afford to do that. We cannot say, oh, I have to now start reading Quran and I will read only Quran. No, we cannot do that. So wider reading is a very important comment Karim made, and I had to emphasize it because it is very, very important point that we read the Tawili books of Quran to understand Quran, and it will help us understand Ginans as well as Farman. Thank you, Karim, for reminding very important point to be discussed.
Okay. Friends, if you have any other questions or comments.
I would love to hear, do you remember your Nanima or Dadima, how their lives were and how is your life? Have you seen any change in your generations? I'm sure you have. I remember my Nanima, poor her, she never worked. My Dadima having children, eight, I remember 8 children, 8 and 6, and they're always busy with cooking and cleaning and taking care of children. They had no opportunity to go study. But I do know that because of the Faramins of Imam, our Nanimas and Dadimas made sure that our parents would have had education. And look at us where we have reached. So it would be wonderful if some of you share. You all are very quiet today.
I think there's a hand up from Hamida.
Yeah, Ji Hamida.
Like sharing wise, I wanted to share with you, like, when I come from Tanzania, Dodoma, where, like I was little and I used to go, sorry, not little, let me start all over again. In Dodoma, when I grew up and I was in standard 12, like senior Cambridge exams, at that time, I said to my mom, why is Gulshan auntie why has she not studied? She did only up to standard 6th. And she says in their times, there were no classes after 6. She was such a clever person. Whenever I used to do my homework, she used to help me. And, and I always used to wonder why she didn't study anymore. But in those times, there were no schools. But my mom was, always listened to the Farmans and all that. And, times were such that, people beforehand never used to send their children to England. But when my time came, my mom was ready to send me. I came to England and I did my accountancy here. And I'm a qualified accountant now, and I'm earning a lot. And my daughter is a lawyer now, you know. So it makes me feel that, you know, we are so lucky to have Hazrat Imam and his Farmans. In olden times, they didn't have the chances. No. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Midama. I'm really happy that you shared. Thank you. Yeah. Shukran Mawla. We are truly blessed, you know. And when we express like that, you know, it makes us more have gratitude in our heart. You know, we can say shukr with really, you know, humility in our heart that truly we don't even realize the Imam's, you know, hidayat and his hard work for Jama'at's progress physically, you know. This today it's like physical. But remember, the reason today Imam works so hard for education, today financially, economically, socially, women have better status, we have better, you know, relations in the family, and our children are able to get better because both parents are, you know, able to earn and are educated. And then that influences also our spiritual life. Because today, look at us, we are able to read and understand. Right? My Nanima would not have understood all these things, poor her, because she was not educated. So, you know, we are so blessed to be able to pick up the books and read. And now, when we read these books, when we understand, we realize where we have to work hard for our spiritual progress and where we need to, you know, make changes in our being, how to improve ourselves. And we have such a treasure of books to study and, you know, use our free time instead of being on social media or this and that. These books are so amazing that we are always occupied in reading and understanding and learning more and more. And sometimes when you really get interested, you feel, I wish I was younger when I started this journey. I wish, you know, you said that, right, Amidama? I feel that too, believe it or not. I wish I had learned more languages. I wish I had read more books when I was younger, you know. But jare jagya tyare sawar. Shukr Mola. Whenever we start, you know, Mola is merciful, he helps us. But truly, it brings, you know, joy and gratitude in my heart that I'm so grateful to Mola to tell our parents to, you know, get education, our grandparents, and today look at us where we are. It is all due to Imam. Whatever we are, we truly, it is, you know, it is due to Imam. Shukr Mola, Shukr Mola, Shukr Mola. You know, in Kalam-i Mola, Mola Ali says, Ek dam pe do shukrane, lazim haq ke jaan. Right? That you inhale, you say shukr. You exhale, you say shukr. And he says it is must. You do that. And you know, when you talk like that, then you realize that it is so true. How many times we are going to say shukr and it would suffice? I don't think it can. Even if we go in sajda and say shukr, 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 it won't be enough because how can we thank him? What he has not done for us. You know? Shukr, alhamdulillah. We are truly, truly blessed being Smileys. Truly blessed.
Okay. Friends, any other questions or comments before we close the session? Just a reminder for friends that Niamat Saiba will be presenting a lecture on the global lectures platform later on today at 10 a.m. CST and 4 p.m. UK time, Healing Through Knowledge. So if friends want to join, all the details are in the chat. Friends, if you have any questions or comments before we close the session.
I look forward to seeing you because I'll be talking about angels and their help. So it'll be very interesting to learn in that forum as well, through that forum as well.
Thank you, Niamat Saiba, for a wonderful session and reminding us how Sultan Muhammad Shah worked tirelessly to improve the status of women to such a high level. Thank you, friends, for joining. And Ya Ali Madad.
Thank you. Yali Madad, Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad, Minama, Yali Madad. Thank you for
Yali Madad, shukr.
Yali Madad. Shukran.
Thank you, Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad. Thank you
Yali
very much.
Shukran, Mama, Yali Madad.